Right, everyone, I'm Lemony, and today we're playing Kerbal Space Program. Unfortunately, the Duna Research Program is on hold due to some issues with tweak scale. That will be coming back hopefully soon. The Kerbal Flight Agency, though, is my main save. I haven't really played with it since the .90 update with all my mods, so this is a brand new game. This is including tweak scale and TAC life support. So I guess I'll just kind of start from scratch and start coming up with some missions, and you can play along with me and help me out and tell me what to do. So leave comments, tweet at me. I'm at Lemony Limes. Let me know what you'd like to see in the series, what you'd like to see me try and do, and hopefully not fail at. I think today, though, we're going to do a very, very quick demonstration of how the game works with all my mods. So right now I'm just going to go for a one-man orbiter, just to kind of get a feel for remote tech in this new update. So I've got my one-man pod, I've got my parachute going, I've got my heat shield, and I've got my decoupler there. So now what I need is I need some RCS fuel, and let's just go with the little guy here. And I'm going to go ahead and add in that. Yeah, like that. Alright. So now we need some engines, and I usually like the 48S5. It's a really nice engine. It's got some good thrust, and it's not too powerful, which I really enjoy. Because we always could take this thing and tweak it down, but it's going to just eat through our fuel supply. This thing is hyper efficient. It's designed for upper stages and landers. It's not really designed to fly through the atmosphere, which is exactly what I need it for. So let's go ahead and find what we need in here. And what we need in here is life support. I'm going to take some hexacans here and strap them on the sides. We need some life support. What else do we need? I do believe we need some solar panels. So let's see if we can find some pretty solar panels. I guess we'll stick with these guys. Alright. So I'm going to go ahead and point these guys upwards to prevent overheating from the engine stack. Well, the one engine anyway. Let's go ahead and use center of mass. This is where the vehicle is. And yeah, so we should be pretty good by placing that RCS tank right there on the top. So let's go ahead and put that there. There we go. Alright, that's our vehicle. I think we've got everything we need. Just in case, we need a battery. Where's my battery pack? There we go. Now I've gone mad with procedural parts. Fury. Anyway, that was weird. Yeah, like that. And I'm going to go ahead and use gold foil there as well. There we go. How much fuel did that stock one have? 250. How much does ours have now? 100. 202. There we go. I like that. I like the way that looks. Okie dokie. So now it's time to design the rest of the spacecraft. Let's just call this Freedom Mark 1. Freedom from the atmosphere. We'll call it that. I don't know. Alright, so I kind of like this design here. Very simplistic, very functional. You don't want to put too many parts on there. You really don't want to overload, your first spacecraft with just too much stuff. So, let's go ahead and strut this guy up here for safe travels. And these struts typically in real space programs, the strutting occurs as the fairing comes on, and if these fairings were more accurate to their real-life counterparts, this would all pretty much be done for us. That'll have to do. Hopefully it works. So let's go ahead and strap on our expanded fairing cones. Alright. I like it. I like it a lot. Maybe. I don't know. I'm still kind of torn up about it. Let's go ahead and hop in here. Alright. Alright. Here's our upper stage. Let's go ahead and... it's engines. Let's go ahead and head up here to procedural parts. Hit up this guy. There we go. I like that. Now what I'm doing here is I'm putting RCS on an upper stage. Now you might ask me, well, why are we doing that? Well, this, putting it down here, almost is like putting a stick on a table and then moving, or putting a pencil on a table and pointing it at the other end of the table away from you and then moving the eraser. And it's much easier to do it that way than turning it at the center because you're using an uneven force. So let's see here. This is a good upper stage engine. That should thrust us pretty good. Alright. I said I was going to test remote tech with this. I've decided against that. We're going to do a probe launch video for that, just to really kind of show off what remote tech is and why it is a really neat mod, and why I think a lot more people should play with it. That's coming soon, hopefully. Alright, there's our first stage there. That's going to be our most powerful guy. And let's go ahead and pick a first stage engine. Make sure our staging is correct. That's always key. And I'm going to go for liquid fuel boosters. Just for safety's sake. Because liquid fuel boosters, they can be shut down in an emergency abort. Solid rocket fuel cannot. Solid rocket boosters cannot be shut down during an abort sequence. The space shuttle, actually, its abort sequences were quite scary. When I was a kid, I always thought I wanted to be on the space shuttle. After learning, you know, kind of the lay of the land of the space shuttle abort system, not so much. The first abort, which has happened actually, the first abort sequence is a shutdown on the pad before the solid rocket booster launch. And, you know, pretty much main engine start, failure, shutdown. The second one, if the boosters have ignited, they pretty much ride the ride. And that's terrifying. I don't know if I'd be able to do that, to say, oh, okay, well, something is going terribly wrong, and we're returning home after riding this, you know, death trap. And there were multiple abort options during that. There was one that actually had the shuttle continue its flight path into the upper atmosphere, turn around and take its main engines, decouple the big orange tank, as I want to call it, since I play Kerbal so much, but decouple their main liquid fuel tank after burning back towards Kennedy Space Center and actually landing at KSC. That would have been absolutely terrifying for anybody on the ground, as well as the astronauts themselves, because, you know, you were supposed to go to space, and now you and the commander are going to have to take a vehicle that was designed to kind of glide through the world, or not through, but over the world, and burned retrograde to the point of actually stopping and going the other direction. Terrifying. And, you know, NASA kind of said, let's just do it. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And what I'm doing here is these little Cybertron thrusters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm spacing them correctly by doing my little counting scheme. And 7 usually works. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And and that'll actually pull these thruster or these liquid fuel boosters away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in a safe manner, so that our main engine or our main rocket can continue flying safely. So, and I'm actually going to limit these to about 35% thrust. 35.5, that works for me. And that's just, well, those can be 35, so why can't these down here be? It's just mouse clicking. Anyway, and the reason I'm lowering these is because these aren't going to weigh nearly as much as a large 2.5 meter or even 3.5 meter booster would be. These are going to be very, very lightweight separations at very, very high speeds. So you don't want to be flying away so fast that you catch so much air that you actually launch straight back into your vehicle. Alright, I like that vehicle. Let's go ahead and see where our center of mass is and center of lift. Almost right on top of each other. That's good. Alright, I think we have Freedom Mark 1. Let's go ahead and all the way over, all the way over, all the way over. And let's go ahead and start our, setting our launch clamps. And one of the things that I really love, I'm not quite sure what mod it comes from, guys. I'm pretty sure it's from KW, but some of our engines actually take time to thrust up, or, you know, build their thrust. So if you just jettison these as soon as you ignite your engines, you'll just fall back to the ground until those engines get enough thrust to fight the force of gravity. So there's the Freedom 1 launch vehicle, launching one Kerbal into orbit. How much food and water do we have? We have enough food for a 44-day mission. This mission will probably be no more than an hour. And I'm going to leave this video, hopefully, on the ground. Hopefully we're going to make it through the hour-and-a-half orbital period pretty quickly using time acceleration. And we'll get to go through the actual landing sequence as well. Alrighty, Jebediah Kerman. Let's go ahead and lower that back down to some realistic levels. Yeah. And I do have ambient light adjustment to help with my videos, especially on the dark side of the planet. So, thrust at maximum, stability enhancement activated, main engine start, and release. Alright, we're going to have to burn at full thrust. These are not very strong engines. That's not good. Oh well. So I'm going to start the roll program here pretty early. That's just to kind of get us a little bit further downrange from KSC in the event that we do have an abort or a launch failure. These rockets will hopefully, when they jettison, be able to kind of clear us of the pad a little better. So we're not damaging the Space Center as much as we would if we had a rapid disassembly right above the launch area. As we get closer to 700 miles per hour, which is about the speed of sound, we want to stay closer and closer to the inside of that green bubble down there, which is our prograde vector. Because the aerodynamic stresses of the vehicle will become too great and actually flip us around or deconstruct the vehicle very rapidly if we don't. So as we start to hit that 700 mile per hour range, I start just kind of peeking myself inside the bubble there. I go back up to max thrust, since we technically are kind of getting through the thickest part of the atmosphere there. We're going to go slightly inclined here, only because I'm focusing more on not crashing on tape rather than actual precise orbits, because this is only a test mission, right? We're not interested in you know, fancy orbits like we would be in the remote tech video that's coming up. We're focused more on getting Jeb into space and seeing what space is like on a Kerbal. Alrighty, so those liquid engines are about done there. Oh, look at the moon. That's almost almost a ominous sign of where we're going to go next. Hopefully, hopefully, I usually like to go to the moon pretty quickly in my saves, uh, just because it's fun to go there. Minmus is even more fun to go to because you can build some really massive vehicles and take up a lot of Delta V uh, going there, and you don't really need a lot to go home. So you can do uh, some pretty advanced stuff like hopping around the different biomes and doing all sorts of fun stuff like that because you don't need to reserve fuel like you would be if you're going to the Mun. And I think that's where a lot of players go wrong on their first attempts is they try and go to the Mun thinking, oh, well, if NASA can do it, I can do it. No, you know, Minmus is a much safer option. And I wish the contract system would kind of elaborate on the fact that you should go to Minmus first and then go to the Mun because the Mun is much harder to go to. I'm going to go ahead and tip just right towards the horizon there. Maybe just a little bit below it. Just to really bring that periaps above the surface. That's what I really want. Because right now, since it's in the negative, that means we're actually going to fly through the surface. And that's just a calculation. That's just a calculation. We're not actually going to do that. Okay. So that first stage didn't take us there, but that's okay because that means it will. So it'll kind of save us from that flying around in space and maybe even hitting us one day, which can happen if you're not careful. If you're not careful, this game is ruthless. Fairing separation, beautifully, by the way. Alright, let's go ahead and expand some solar panels there. Are those gonna... Just enough clearance. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, we don't want that snapping off. Come back. Alright, let's go ahead and time accelerate to a stable, to the apoaps, where we're going to be moving the slowest. But it's the altitude that we want to keep, so we're going to accelerate at our slowest point to expand our periaps. So we're flipping an orbital view here as we continue to accelerate, and actually I'm going to do a quick RCS burn here just to bring this lower stage here back into the atmosphere. Since we're not going to need it, we have a lot more fuel. We could probably do a flyby of the Mun if we had time today. Go ahead and accelerate here. Alright. Flip around here. And I'm going to use the J key because IJKL in Kerbal Space Program actually translate to your docking keys. But you can also go down here to docking and then use WASD as your docking keys. Let's go ahead and activate that other engine. Bring our apoaps back up here. And see, we're just sipping our fuel there. Even though we're not accelerating quite as fast as we were with the other engines, we are just sipping the fuel rather than gobbling it up. Go ahead and orbit around here as that falls back into the planet there. You can actually see all of them as they fade away. That's them falling into the atmosphere and burning up. Let's go ahead and Mr. Jebediah here come out. Take a look around at spacecraft. I'm going to hit the V key here to hop around to free mode. And that really gives you kind of the impressive look as we kind of coast along the day-night Terminator of Kerbin. And you know, I can actually do this here real fast while we slowly drift away. And this just kind of gives you a scope of the game where that little tiny gold thing over there. in front of a massive planet, circling an even larger star. Just incredible. And then out of nowhere, the Kerbinaut, unwavering in his confidence and mission control. Alright, let's go ahead and head back up to our vehicle. Looks like our vehicle has taken a little bit of a spin. Since it has no Kerbal in it, it is not controlled, so it will drift if you hit it. So we just kind of want to, I'm going to change my views here so that he will orient himself correctly for a re-entry into the capsule. That was with the V key, just to be clear. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab it, and we'll board. Alright, let's go ahead and do another orbit. Just Renaissance Pack just does beautiful things with this game. Yeah, so actually, if we look really carefully, right here where the mouse is, that is the Kerbal Space Center. We are flying directly overhead right now. Yeah, right now. You can almost see the glint of the runway. So small. So indiscriminate amongst the vastness of the planet. The clouds rolling over right there. Just a great scenic view as we pass over the Kerbal Space Center here. Basking in the sunlight as our solar panels slowly convert its abundant energy, pumping our life supports throughout the vehicle. Just an amazing journey. Let's go ahead and switch inside and see what he sees. Let's go ahead and pop in some stuff here. Let's see what he sees right now. Alright, so he's not seeing very much of anything. It's almost like Interstellar there with the RCS. Oh, there we go. There's our little blue speck. Our little blue dot. I double clicked there so I could spin myself around. Where are we? There we are. And with the Kerbal's amazing eyes, we can actually see the texture outline of the Kerbal Space Center. Thanks, Jeb. Alright. I think it's about time for us to come home. We've spent about an hour in orbit. So this will be a little bit inefficient, but I want a daytime re-entry. So we're going to point towards our retrograde vector, so away from the direction of travel, and we're going to burn until we enter the atmosphere, which the atmosphere technically begins in Kerbal Space Program around 70 kilometers. That is the Kármán line, as it would be. So let's go ahead and continue accelerating. I'm going to accelerate deep into the atmosphere, about 35. Let's go down to 30 kilometers above the surface. Now, if we were traveling fast enough, technically we could fly back through, but this is a fancy way of aerobraking. So what airbraking is if we were flying at interplanetary velocities, we could actually dip into the atmosphere around Kerbin and slow ourselves down and come back out, and slowly do that to bleed off the extra speed. And if we ever go to Eve or Lathe, which are the planets in the game, or Duna, which are the planets in the game that actually have atmospheres, we can do that. But like I said, leave a comment, let me know if you'd like to see something like that. I would love to mount one of those missions and be able to capture it on video. So let's go ahead and retract our panels. And usually what I do at this point is let's go ahead and eject it downwards, push it a little bit further into the atmosphere. Decouplers and separators are two different things. Decouplers are actual explosive charges that'll push a vehicle away from another object. A separator will just separate the two. So as you can see there, it shoots up since we are the heavier object. I'm going to go ahead and orient ourselves correctly. And once we start seeing the plasma effects, that's when I'll turn off the HUD to simulate the dark time, and let's go ahead and head into chase mode. Kerbal Space Program, gotta love it. Whoa, 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 whoa. Alright, so, yeah. Oh, there's our plasma heating, so we're going to go ahead and kill that, because during this time there's so much radiation coming from around the vehicle that we would just not be able to communicate with anyone. I'm going to go ahead and get right here. And that's getting me a little dizzy, so I'm going to... Are we actually going up? No. Nah. We're going down very, very slowly. Let's see what he's seeing in here. Oh. He can definitely hear it. And as we start to impact the atmosphere, you can see we've already slowed enough that we're actually going to fall back to the ground. But if we had done it about 55, we would have skipped through the atmosphere, lowered our apoaps, skipped through the atmosphere, lowered our apoaps until finally we reached a point like this. And that little blue speck that we were, that little gold and blue speck, finally coming back in. Just kind of really realize the massiveness of this game and the void that space really is. Looks like we're starting to slow down now. Looks like we're going to be at supersonic speeds. Indeed. So we're traveling at about 2,000 miles an hour, dropping very rapidly, and as you can see, we are becoming a sharper and sharper downward angle. So, yeah, luckily we didn't fall into that mountain range. Let's go ahead and arm our parachute. And I'm going to spin up here and build a little bit of instability. And that just kind of jettisons the heat shield. Since we don't need it anymore, that parachute will slow us down more. And yeah, we didn't use barely any of our electric charge. That's great. So we're about 9,000 meters up right now. And I can see that here with the surface altitude reading. We're falling through the cloud layer. Renaissance Pack and environmental visual enhancements yet again. Just blowing this game out of the water. Yeah, just beautiful stuff. So I think our parachutes are deploying sometime in the mid-range here, so anytime now, boys. Or I guess, boy, maybe it's 700. Oh. Alright, so as you can see, as that parachute deploys, we had a lot of G-force, but we didn't spike like we would in the normal game. So there's our one parachute. We're about 300 feet off the ground. Let's see if we can time accelerate through some of that. So yeah, here we are. We're about 70 feet off the ground. 70 meters off the ground anyway. And we are slowly coming down. And there we are, our first mission complete. Let's go ahead and have Jeb step out of his capsule. It looks like he has a few stress lines. Maybe it was all the shaking. Alright guys, I know that was kind of a redundant video, but hey, I lost my main video recording save, so I decided I'm gonna try and build up through some of this stuff, build up on my main game, kind of what I do, not so much something scripted. Let's go ahead and hit done there. Let's see what missions he got. Operational service, that's right. First Kerbin, first landing, Mach 3 ribbon. Well, I didn't realize it went that fast. First Kerbin EVA, Kerbal in space, first Kerbin in orbit. Yeah, congratulations, Deb, you were the first. Anyway, I'm Lemony. If you guys enjoyed it, let me know. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Please leave some comments on some missions that we could mount, and have a great day.